So today on the channel, we're going to talk about open houses. 1, do they work? 2, who do they benefit? 3, what are some strategies that can make them work for a seller, an agent, or a buyer? Here we go. So, 1, do they work? Well, sort of. They work both as a means for agents to market themselves and pick up clients. They work as a means for sellers to get more people in the house in the hopes of finding a buyer. And they also work in the fact that they allow other neighbors and sellers to see their property against the competition. So who benefits? So the seller does benefit in the fact that the more people we get in the door, the more successful we are going to be at having a property sell. The other thing that they're really good for is they help gauge the market, in the sense that if you do an open house and you have 2 people come through, guess what? The property is probably not priced correctly or presented correctly for the market. But if you have 34 different groups of people through the open houses, that property is probably priced perfectly to sell. Which leads me into the next point. What are some success stories about open houses? So obviously I can tell you stories of the times that I've picked up buyers and I've picked up sellers. But that's not really the purpose of agents. When we're working on behalf of a client, we're working for that particular home. Yes, we want to further ourselves from a business perspective, but it's also really important to remember that the seller or the buyer, and in this case the seller, is number 1. So here's a little story. So just over the weekend, we had an open house in Rockville, Maryland. At that open house, we had around 34 different groups of people come in. We had people like neighbors, we had people that were just starting to enter the market, and we had people that were serious buyers. Out of all those people, we had one person that said, you know what, this home is right for us. We're ready to make a decision, and we'd like to buy this house and write an offer. So, of course, right after that open house, I rung them up, and I said, great, you want to write an offer? Let's do it. We met that day, we wrote the offer, and we submitted the offer to the seller. So, who won in that scenario? Well, the buyer won because they were able to write an offer on a property that they really liked, and in this case, they were able to get the property. The seller worked out well because the seller was able to sell their property for a price that they wanted, and they didn't have to keep it on the market for very long. So here you have a buyer and a seller and an agent that it all worked out for. But furthermore, this also presents a situation, and this happens more than you think, where because we had so many people in the house, it helped fuel those buyers that were interested to wanting the house more. And I do believe in that case, that's what helped motivate that buyer to make a quick decision to buy the property. Would we have gotten more for the house or less for the house as we waited? Probably not more, but you never know if that buyer didn't walk through the door, we might not have gotten less. We waited a little while after submitting that offer, we still received no other offers, and guess what? We had a great offer on the table, so we took it. Cash transaction, easy settlement, happy client. So there you go. Do open houses work? Yeah, well, sort of.